Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all enjoying this Tuesday. It's warmed up out here in central Illinois. We went from minus 13 last week to about 40 degrees. So let's get started. I'll let some guys get into the room here. We got a full show for you today. Yep, it is Taco Tuesday for some of those guys out there. Let's see who we've got joining us today. We've got Zach, Kyle, Sean. We've got Gary. We've got Kurt, and he's hailing from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Know that city? It's probably changed a bit since I was there, but great city, great people up there in Green Bay. We got Fred, we've got Sean, we've got Ted, Alfred, Chris, Kyle. We've got Mr. Derek. We've got, Kevin. We've got a full house today. This is great. Jim, nice to see you. Thanks for coming on board. Like I said, we've got some great stuff to talk about today. We're going to do some N scale, just like we talked about last week. We're going to talk about some N scale, and then I've got some surprises for you. We're going to talk about some stuff that's in stock that I know you're going to love, and maybe a reminder as to why you should pre-order. Let's see who else we've got. We've got George. We've got Daniel. We've got Matthew, Terry, Maurice. We've got Paul. Paul is hailing from the UK. So there we go. That's quite a ways. My heritage about 300 years ago. Let's see. We've got Steve and Andrew. And let's see who else. Do a few more shout outs and then we'll get the show started. All right. We got John and Chris. And it looks like Chris is coming from California. All right. I'm sure it's a lot nicer and warmer in California than it is here in central Illinois. Got Steve coming in from Minnesota. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We got a pretty full house here today. A little bit dry, so I've got my water in a railroad mug here just in case I need to quench my thirst while we're talking, because we do have a lot of great stuff to talk about. You'll see I've got some things on the table that we'll talk about a little bit later. But as promised, we've got some N scale. And, Atherin's been known for years for HO scale rolling stock and locomotives. But, yeah, we do N scale too. And I wanted to show you guys what we're doing for this month. And what you want to do is pre-order if you're into N scale. And I've got some great offerings to show you. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And let's see, we will start with, we're going to go backwards today. Let's start with the caboose. We're doing the bay window cabooses. All right, and I'm going to center these so you guys can see them. Check these out. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and minimize myself here so you guys can see that. All right. So check these out. These N-scale bay window cabooses, okay, these are going to be available. You can still get these pre-ordered. You've got till Friday. After Friday, the order's closed. So if you're an N-scale guy and you're looking for a caboose that matches this prototype, and you're looking at a prototype that's probably about the mid-60s up until about the end of most caboose lifespans, which was in the mid-80s. So let's go through these real quick and show you what we're offering. Of course, we're offering the Pennsylvania and the New York Central. Now, these are being offered in just these one road numbers, okay? So you're just going to want to, if you want either a Pennsylvania or a New York Central, you need to pre-order now because we're just doing one version of these both. The Pennsylvania in its traditional paint scheme. And then check out the New York Central. This is the jade green that was real popular just before the merger in '68. So you're going to want to jump on board with that. Now, we've also got the Erie. Now, once we go forward with the Erie all the way down to the Frisco, you'll notice that these are offered in 3 different road numbers. So if you've got a railroad in N scale that is for the Erie or any of the other ones that we're going to talk about, you're in luck. You'll be able to get these in 3 distinct different road numbers. So we're offering the Erie just before they got merged with the Lackawanna, making the Erie Lackawanna. And of course, the Illinois Terminal, one of my favorites of the Midwest, with that bright green and yellow trim. There's no missing this. Nickel plate. I mean, again, sharp paint scheme. One of the last paint schemes to be applied to this caboose before its merger. And then the Milwaukee Road. We're doing that also in 3 different road numbers. Check out the Frisco. I know there's some Frisco fans out there. I've talked to you guys before, but check that out. The Frisco and that Mandarin orange. Such a cool paint scheme. And, you know, this would be appropriate for a layout that's right up until about 1979. And if you really wanted to, you know, BN didn't paint these right away. You'd have a little bit of time in the early 1980s, not much, but you could also renumber these if you wanted to get some decals for them and renumber them and give them a new owner, but keep them in the original paint. The R.J. Corman ones, lots of people have been asking for these. Now, we've not offered these before, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on these so you guys can see these even better. Let's bring this down a little bit. Now, the R.J. Corman is only available in 1 road name each, or 1 road number each, rather. So you got 2 different paint schemes. And like I said, we're only offering that paint scheme in 1 number. So if you're an R.J. Corman fan, you're going to want to order both of these. All the other ones come available in 3 different road numbers, except for the Pennsylvania, the New York Central, and the R.J. Corman. So, like I said, you've got until Friday to order these. And I can tell you, being an N-scale guy myself, these are absolutely beautiful cabooses. They track really well. Again, they're going to have body-mounted couplers. We're also going to have metal wheel sets on these. So they'll work on your typical manufacturer's track, code 80, which is real common. However, code 55 and even code 40 is becoming more popular in N-scale. These will track just fine on those. I can tell you personally, they track just fine on code 55. So before I go any further, I'm looking at the comments, seeing if anybody's got any questions here regarding these really cool bay window cabooses. Again, you've got till Friday to order these up. They are not going to last. And I have learned the hard way that N-scale, they definitely go fast as soon as they come into stock. So if you want to remove all doubt, then go ahead and pre-order those. Where is Janik? Janik is buried under a pile of prototype data. He is heading up the development team over there, and he is swamped right now because you guys keep coming up with so many great ideas. But don't worry, he's not gone forever. He will surprise you one of these days. All right. So somebody was asking, is this a one-time run? For these cabooses, yeah, we're just doing these roads this time. When they're gone, they're gone. Some roads we might do again, but you know, why leave it up to fate? So many times, especially with these cabooses and N-scale, I've thought, well, you know, the dealer might order some extras. And so many times that has not been the case. So there you go. All right, I'm going to go to the next one now, because not only do we have the cabooses, and I'm pretty excited about this next offering because as most of you guys are aware, N-scale guys, you can either go the modular route and have, you know, really, really long trains, or you can have a short switching layout, and these work great in either situation. So let me bring up my screen again. And let's see. We are going to go to these covered hoppers. Now these are the N-scale PS2 2600 covered hoppers. Now these hoppers were predominantly available. You were going to see most of these in the paint schemes that we're offering here in the 1960s. Louisville and Nashville, the MKT. You're going to see those predominantly in the 60s. However, as you can see here, and actually the Louisville and Nashville, if you look real carefully, you can see the lube plates here. This would be more of a late 70s, early 80s. These cars did last quite a while. It's not uncommon to see one now and then. They're not as common as they used to be, but they did have quite a lifespan, and they were used for a variety of items, mainly dense, heavy items. But they could be used for flour. They could be used for silica. So there's a variety of uses that can be used for these. A lot of these too were used for concrete service. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see what we're offering. So like I said, the Louisville and Nashville represents a car that would be late 70s, early 1980s. We're offering that in 3 different road numbers. We've got the MKT. This is probably earlier 70s. Norfolk and Western. This would be just a few years before they would become Norfolk and Southern. Again, you've got your lube plates here. It's a small detail, but even at N scale, it's very important if you want to keep your cars within the same era. But perfectly acceptable in the 70s, even through the Norfolk Southern era, because Norfolk and Western covered hoppers, they lasted well into the 90s. Again, offering that in 3 numbers. The Grand Trunk, another one, you're looking at about 1970s era. And again, they can be used all the way up through the 80s and 90s. 3 road numbers offered there as well. Check out the Northern Pacific. This one is set right into the 1970s, but it would also work into the early 80s, and with some weathering, it would look fine in the 1980s. 3 road numbers on this one as well. And then, of course, we have the Union Pacific with the shield. With the lube plates here, you're looking at a slightly more modern paint scheme. Pretty much the mid-1980s, early 1980s to mid-1980s, if you see the difference in the lube panel there. So these are great N-scale cars for your switching layout, or if you're part of N-Track, Fremo N, something of that nature, you can get a bunch of these because we're offering them in 3 different numbers. And yeah, they pretty much will work with anything. These would work specifically for 1970s to, mid-1980s or so. Now, real important, if you've got a small layout that's mainly into prototype operations, these are perfect for that because they're real short, and you can spot 2 or 3 of these on a small spur, industry spur. And with the body mounted couplers and the metal wheel sets, they are an absolute joy to switch back and forth. I can tell you from experience, they are great on code 55 in a switching environment, 0 issues. And of course, they're weighted correctly too. One more thing too is they've got a lot of good detail. Even though they're N scale, they're not devoid of really nice detail. So if you're in the market for some covered hoppers, specifically in the 70s and 80s era, then you will definitely want to check these out. And again, these don't last long. When they come in, they usually sell out pretty quick. Once again, I'm looking up here to see if anybody's got any questions on the covered hoppers. And let's see. Just kind of go through here. Okay. Now I see some talk about unit trains and things of that nature. You can definitely, with the 3 different road numbers on these, you can definitely do that. And that is one of the reasons why we offer both our HO and N-scale cars in just more than one road number, because we realize some folks model certain roads and you want to have more than just one road number. All right, I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Now the last one that we've got is, oh, and Jeremy, I see your question. I'm going to throw it up here real quick. Nope, sorry, wrong one. Are those coming in? If you're talking about the covered hoppers, yes, they are going to. We talked about them, I believe, last week. They will be available in HO. So talk to your dealer, because they generally, we will offer some of the same things in HO that we offer in N scale. In fact, they're going to be pretty much the same paint schemes, road numbers, all of that. So definitely, Jeremy, check those out. And yeah, in HO, I've got a few in HO that I'm using on the switching layout that I'm building, and they're very, very handy, great for doing some operations. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to talk about in N scale, and I know some guys are really excited about this, it's the N scale F89F bi-level auto carriers. And these are really cool. Now, what's really cool about these is the era in which they are. I'm going to try to zoom in on these so you guys can see them. And I'm going to make that bigger so you can see it. All right. So check these out. We talked a little bit about these when we were showing them in the HO scale Genesis. And really, the N scale ones are just phenomenal. We've got some that from a previous release that are at dealers now, and I've got some friends in N scale that bought theirs, and they're just absolutely beautiful. For N scale, they're not chunky at all. They're really well detailed, very delicate, so keep that in mind. But check out the era that we're looking at here. We've got the Southern, the New York Central, the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, the Frisco, Illinois Central, and Northern Pacific. Not only are those, a lot of those lines that we mentioned there are fallen flags now, but again, look at the era. This is before all of that side cladding was added and the tops were added for, to keep the risk of damage down. So these are really cool. The cool thing about these with the HO versions and the N scale versions is you can populate these with vehicles. Typically, the dual decks like this were mainly used for trucks. So, if you wanted to put some F-150s or some C10 pickup trucks on here, it'd be perfectly acceptable. And the good news is there's plenty of pictures out there to help you out, do these upright. Now, again, we're offering these in the road names that you see here, and they are offered in 3 different road numbers to make it easier for you. And let's see, let me zoom in on there so you guys can see it. So let's see. And James, hold on tight, man. I know. We've got some HO coming as well. So let me zoom in for our N scale buddies so they can see what we've got here. And see, like I was saying, the Southern, the New York Central, 1960s. Remember we talked about that New York Central bay window caboose in the jade green? Well, here we go. Same thing. You're talking the 1960s on both of these. Now, the Southern one is interesting in that it's got these rock guards, an early version of what we see now as commonplace nowadays. And that's the only car that's offered with the rock guards in this series. We're offering both of those cars and 3 different road numbers. Scrolling down a little bit, we've got the CB&Q and the Frisco. And again, 1960s. These are firmly in place in the 1960s. And last but certainly not least, we have Illinois Central and Northern Pacific. And again, these are 1960s. These are early auto racks. So some of you are thinking, man, these are cool. I've got a 2-foot by 4-foot layout, and these would be great for that. Not quite. These are scale. They are F89F. They're 89 feet scale and N scale. You're going to want to have a rather large radius on these. I'd recommend up to a 18 to 22. Other than that, they're going to look kind of funny. So these really do well on, say, Fremo N layouts. N-track layouts are perfect. T-track would probably be kind of a stretch, honestly, especially where the track is so close together on the curves. They might have a little bit of a hard time to navigate through those without knocking something else off the track beside it. So think of these as more of your modular type, unless you are blessed with a rather large N-scale layout that has some really nice sweeping curves. These guys are big. Now, again, body-mounted couplers, and they've got the trucks with the metal wheel sets, and very delicate, very fine, lots of detail in these. And I'm telling you, if you haven't seen one of these in person yet, and you've kind of thought about it, go to your dealer. If you can get a chance to get to your dealer and see one of the ones that we released about a month or so ago that just came into stock, take a look at those, and if you like that, go ahead and order any of these here. Again, these are only going to be available for pre-order till Friday. After Friday, everything's off the table. So there you have it. I mean, that's our N scale for the month. We've got some really great stuff that's coming out, and I know if you're into N scale, we try to hit all the high points for you guys so that you've got plenty of options. So anyways, I'm looking through here to see if anybody has any questions. Fred, here we go. He's got a comment. A load of Gremlins or Pintos. Yeah, these are technically 60s. Those are technically 1970s cars, but these freight cars would have still been around. They might have new owners by then, but definitely these cars didn't get repainted overnight, so that would definitely work. Any other questions that we've got? Got some comments. We don't have any vehicles that would fit that currently, but we're always keeping our options open. Okay. Yep, and Kevin, don't forget, we've got them in HO too. They're going to be under the Genesis line. And the HO version, I had an HO version on the show a couple of weeks ago. And man, they're just impressive cars in N scale or HO. They just really are. All right. Well, so like I said, you've got till Friday to go ahead and talk to your dealer, order those, and that way you don't miss out. Now, remember, I had told you pre-orders are very important because you don't want to miss out. I'll get to more of that in a minute. Right now, I want to show you what's new and what's going on. So first thing we're going to talk about is, you can probably see right here, I've got a few models, and I'll move my coffee mug out of the way here. First one I want to talk about is, for you HO scale guys, the Genesis 33,000 gallon LPG cars are in stock. These are finally, actually, no, I take that back. See, I get so excited about these. We've got till about the middle of March, but they are on their way. These cars are just absolutely gorgeous. If you've not seen one of these Genesis propane cars yet in person, you need to. And I'll tell you what, I think I got a better picture I can show you guys. And let me share that picture so you guys can see it. Here we go. So just a beautiful car. All of that detailing is there. I'm going to go ahead and blow that up even further so you can see it. The thing that I'm amazed about with these Genesis cars is, not only do you have all that piping, not only do you have all the warning labels, but look under the text of the liquefied petroleum gas. You can, with a magnifying glass, you can read all that. That's not just squiggly lines. That's actually printed information. It's impressive when you see all of the plumbing and piping that has been applied to these cars. It's even more incredible to see all of the data is there. Can you imagine trying to decal one of these? Even an HO, that would be a really hard thing to do. It wouldn't be impossible, but it would definitely spend a big point of your time. And I mean, check it out. You can't quite see it in this picture, but I mean, you got cut levers. You've got the really nice metal wheel sets. These are just a joy to switch if you've got a home layout, or if you trust yourself enough to take it to a club layout. You can definitely do that too. Very, very well detailed. And then right beside it, I've got an earlier variant. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this so you can see this guy. And this is part of the Prime for Grime series. But just check out the detail there on these things. Just amazing. Now, since it's Prime for Grime, you'll notice you can kind of see where it's been blacked out. The previous owner's been painted out, blacked out. This is just begging for some dull coat and your artistic license and ability to make it look like a weathered veteran of the rails. So again, these are going to be these these LPG cars. They're going to be here in about the middle of March, and you just go to our website, check them out. Now, if you did not pre-order these, I'll let you know that they probably will go fast. They usually do, just because they have got such nice detail to them. You can see we're offering the late version versus the newer version, and they have the appropriate details applied to it. I'm still really kind of amazed at the printing on these. The printing on these is just amazing. And I can't imagine trying to do all that decal myself. That's a lot of decal work. So mid-March, these are going to be coming out. And I know what else you guys are probably looking at. You've probably noticed it. I'm surprised I haven't seen anybody say anything in the comments section, but something else that's coming out. Oh, Kevin, I see your question there on these cars here. The blue one here, this is more of your modern car. This would be anywhere between the 2000s to modern time. You can kind of see there the road number on the top, which is standard practice nowadays for safety reasons. And then this guy here, slightly older. We're looking at 90s, early 2000s. It's still got the walkway on it. Slightly earlier design. So these are good. I mean, the LPG cars, you're looking at the 90s to the 2000s, and we specify that on our website. So if you didn't pre-order these and you want to know what era they are, just go to our website at athearn.com and use the advanced search, select Genesis, and then select In Stock Now, and you'll see those on there and all kinds of information on there that will definitely become very useful to you. All right. I thought I saw another question there, so I just want to make sure I'm catching as many as I can. All right. So the other one that a lot of people are asking about, and I got a question. What road is that gray one? Okay, so the Prime for Grime one, it's a UTLX. I don't know what the original owner was because it's all been blacked out, but its current owner in this version is UTLX, which is a very common carrier. All right, so I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, why aren't you talking about this one right here? Here it is. I got a lot of grief from you UP guys because I had shown the BNSF, I had shown the Cascade Green BN version, and I'd even shown the Canadian version. If you got a chance to see the Otter Creek virtual train show this past weekend, you probably saw me talk about the SD60M there. But for all you UP guys, especially you Red Sill guys, there you go. So there it is in all of its glory. 6218. This will be available to you in a couple of weeks. We're looking at probably mid-March. And I mean, you know, this is a beautiful locomotive. All the details are specific to the Union Pacific. And you're going to be seeing some reviews on these pretty soon as they come into stock. But just a great locomotive. And don't forget, these are Genesis 2.0. So yeah, they are ready to go out of the box. We have offered the rotating bearing caps on these. We've also offered extras to come with it because they can become dislodged. And this one is all there. It's all complete. I know you guys can't quite see it, but beautiful locomotive. That armor yellow and harbor mist gray. Just nice paint schemes, classic paint scheme. And, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that like the red sills versus the yellow sills. This is going to be the red sill era. And again, everything you see right here, if you're a Genesis guy, you're in good shape for mid-March. So definitely. Now, like we always do too, we're going to talk about what's in stock. And if you're like me, there's so much stuff coming out on a monthly basis, you tend to forget stuff. And I know a lot of you guys are working on your layouts. Maybe you're starting on some new layouts. So you're probably wanting to know, hey, if I am in a jam and I need to get down to the hobby shop right now, what's in stock? Well, I'm glad you asked. Check out this classic. This is under the Ready to Roll line. This is a Rock Island 50-foot boxcar. And man, this is just begging to be weathered, because this probably stayed clean for maybe 2 minutes as soon as it rolled out of Pullman Standard. But still, a very cool boxcar. And let's see. Well, you know what? Let's go for a ride real quick. Let's go to the Athearn website and let's show you this. I'll show you where they're at. Because sometimes, you know, not everybody sees what we do. I want to show you guys how easy it is to find out what's in stock, okay? Daniel wants to know how fast it got. Depends on what railroad was pulling it. If it was Rock Island at this point in its life. All right, let's see what's in stock. Let's go online here real quick and share that screen so you all can see what I'm doing. Bam, there we go. Hey, check it out. So not only do we have the Rock Island boxcar, but we've got some other ones as well. We can go back to those in a minute, but I'm going to minimize this so you guys can see what's all there. Yeah, we don't really talk about the Ready to Roll that much, but you know, look at how much information is there on this specific model. This one here has got a lot of detail parts to it that in the past we would have to apply by ourselves. Not only is it, you know, decorated for the right prototype, but it's got a lot of the metal etch details that we would have added in the past. Not to mention those, you know, the 33-foot wheels or 33-inch wheels that they're contoured to work on all types of track. I've got code 40 in the next room. I'm sorry, code 70 in my HO scale layout. And man, just no problem navigating that whatsoever. As long as your track work is, in some cases, better than the prototype, you've got no issues whatsoever. And so let's go back so you can see what's all available right now in that specific boxcar. Now this one's a standalone. We're also offering these boxcars in groups of 3. So that way, if you want to do a unit train, you can. We've also got them in Prime for Grime as well. Here's a Prime for Grime example. So, I mean, like I said, that's just waiting for you and some time to get some dull code out and get artistic, get some pictures out. We still got a little bit of winter and early spring here, depending on where you're at. So you can definitely got some time to do some weathering and such. Okay. Jim, I see your question. I'll put it on the screen real quick. You said, wish there is a section for now in stock, just like a new announcement section without going through every model type. Yeah, I hear you. probably the best thing to do, and we'll do it together right here, just so you can kind of see what one of the best things to do is. Let's get out of here and let's go to the home page. Okay, so you come to athearn.com and you see this right here, the advanced search. Go ahead and select that. And let's go with ready to roll. And let's say, hey, you know what? I'm working on my switching layout. I need freight cars. Okay. So I'm going to scroll through here. I want rolling stock freight. So I'm going to select freight. And I'm going to select in stock. Now, generally speaking, if they're on the Wathern website and they are in stock, that means they're at your dealer's shop as well. Now we'll hit search product. Now, like you were saying, Jim, it's going to show up everything that is ready to roll, that is freight. So you still got to scroll through a little bit. You know, we've got covered hoppers versus box cars. Now, but let's say for a second, you know, I'm modeling the Pacific Northwest. I'm doing the mid-2000s. I really need something that's in Burlington, Northern Santa Fe. I select that. Only that road is shown. So that you can streamline it a little bit, and that should make it a little bit easier for you. But keep that in mind. That advanced search is really handy. And I mean, I use it here at work on a daily basis. I use this a lot when I'm talking to somebody that's going to do a review or something of that nature. And it comes in real handy. So definitely use that advanced search function whenever you can. And it'll help you, keep track of stuff. Now, there was, we were talking earlier about this. I had the best plans of mice and men. I was going to show you the Genesis GP40-2. And you can probably, if you've seen the latest run that we had, you can probably guess which ones I ordered based on my favorites. And try as I may, guess what? I did not pre-order those. And I don't have anything here to show you other than what I've already shown you. Now, the Genesis GP40-2s, they just came into stock. And, I was really hoping I could jump in and get one of those. I kind of missed out on that. But I got some good news. I've got James with us. And James has done a review here and there for us. And he's done some other work for us. I'm going to introduce you to James because I think James is going to be able to bail me out and show me a Genesis GP40-2. So let's bring James on board. Hey, James, how are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Man, I was just telling the guys, I should have pre-ordered last year when the Boston to Maine GP40-2s came in, but I'm like, it's not a big line. I'll wait. But apparently some smarter people than me pre-ordered. And so I don't have anything to show, but I know that you just happen to have a Southern Pacific GP40-2 that you just got the other day.
Well, I do have to say, who here loves trains?
That is sweet.
There she is.
And I think you sent, let me check. I think you sent me some pictures. I'm gonna put some of those pictures up too. Let me grab those. And so, James, while I'm getting those pictures, you have a YouTube channel, and yes. You've been doing that for a little bit. Tell us about your YouTube channel, and then, actually, you know what? Start out with telling us about how long you've been into the hobby and what got you into it, and then kind of tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel.
All right. Well, where do I start here? Well, like many of us, I started really young. I started with basic toy trains, 3-4 years old. I got a Bachmann GS4 and a couple Concours cars and a layout. And a year later, it was destroyed and kept picking up toy trains until finally I matured a little bit and got to the point where I was about maybe 11 or 12. And I was introduced to Athearn Blue Box and also a model railroad club. I joined the California Southern Model Railroad Club in Norwalk as a junior member. This is about 20 years ago now. Time flies. About the year 2000, 2001. It's crazy. And Blue Box really got me into the hobby, being able to build your own stuff, and once you build it, seeing it run, and like we were talking earlier, seeing a blue box train run compared to the toy trains at the time was just mesmerizing. So and so it grew, and then I got in high school I got really into cars, and kind of trains took a back seat. I started building cars, import cars, muscle cars, and got out of high school, went to college, and got my love trains back. Basically, it grew on me like no tomorrow. I mean, I've grown up in Fullerton, California, down here, so I've been lucky to grow up near the Fullerton train station, right down the street. And I got to say that really pushed it too, because my school, I went to Fullerton College, was right next to the train tracks. So yeah, that definitely pushed the hobby here. So about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I got out of college and I got a job at Amtrak. I worked at Amtrak for about 2 years in reservations and sales, and it was fun, and really fun, actually. Got to travel a lot, got to see a lot of cool things, and get on the inside of railroading and understand how things work. And I left to actually go back to school, and I went back to school, and in that time frame, I actually broke my collarbone. I was on one of those bird scooters, you guys, that used to be around everywhere. You got to be careful on those things. Yeah, I fell and I broke my collarbone. So I was down for a couple months, and I was down. I was going to school online, basically, and I just created a YouTube and just started posting things. And it started with my gaming channel, or my gaming name was Hybrid Hobby, and I just named the channel that, and started posting train simulator stuff and some HO scale footage I had, and rail fanning footage, and it just grew. Basically, I just started posting, and I had a lot of time off, and then here I am today, I guess, basically. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's an addictive hobby, that's for sure. I mean,
absolutely.
It's hard to choose one that's your favorite, but I know that you are, just based on where you're at, you're pretty much got a lot of knowledge on, say, BNSF, Union Pacific, and in this case, Southern Pacific, right?
Yes, absolutely. Growing up, I mean, I've grown up in the Los Angeles area. When I was really young, I remember going with my mom to the Downey area. There was a branch line that runs there, the Anaheim branch of Southern Pacific. And you used to see the locals come through. And like anyone that knows the Southern Pacific, all I can remember is just the engine. You couldn't see anything. It was completely dirty. It was just basically black. You could have, what is this thing? And the horn was dilapidated, and the engineers just waving. And it was awesome. It was a really awesome experience. And so I grew up with Southern Pacific, kind of the branch line. I was never really near a main line, so I got to see these GP40-2s, things like that, SW1500s on the branch line. So, and then I grew up next to BNSF as well in Fullerton. In fact, one of my coolest memories is I had a summer camp in '97, and it was right next to the BNSF main line in La Mirada. And it was right where the old La Mirada station used to be, if anybody's familiar with the area. And it was a park named Neff Park, and you have a clear view of the tracks. And this was about the time when BNSF was basically created. And it was really cool to see Santa Fe Power. And I was young, but seeing this, you're like, what's going on? Because you saw these war bonnets, yellow and red and silver and everything. And all of a sudden, this orange starts appearing. And that was probably the most surreal experience I think I had, was seeing the transition and remembering it as probably my most earliest really vivid railroading memory, is the transition from Santa Fe to BNSF.
Well, that's cool. Well, I know you got a Genesis GP40-2, and I'm going to share some of the pictures you took are phenomenal, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Really nice. I mean, man, this nothing says Southern Pacific like a picture like this. This is great.
Yeah, these were taken down at the California Southern Model Railroad Club in Norwalk, California. And this is our back section here in the mountain section. There's a nice big bridge that goes over a canyon here. So I thought it would be really cool to get that train coming out of the tunnel in the canyon there.
Very nice. And then nice little shot there. Looks like you're in an industrial park.
Little industrial park there, yes, in front of the main station we have on the layout. That's actually a replica. Well, it's a fictional replica of Norwalk, California. And one of the main reasons I like to take pictures right here is we have some palm trees. You can kind of see them in the background there. And I like to kind of get that mixed with the Southern California kind of Western roads. It kind of adds a Southern California touch to it. So I thought that's a cool aesthetic to add to the picture.
Very cool. Yeah, and you get some really nice pictures to go along with your video. We'll share your video here in a little bit, but nicely done. Nice detail shot showing the detail on the trucks and I mean just some of the prototype specific things. I noticed on 7623 this one actually had a beacon.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It did have a beacon, and I was able to find some pictures online on Railroad Picture Archives, and yeah, it did have a beacon. I think the beacon's one of the coolest parts.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and a nice detail shot of the interior cab there. Just really well done.
thank you.
So I can tell you've really got a passion for this hobby, and I'm going to go ahead and let me get back to our screen here, and I think let's see, you got this for review about a week ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about last week. I picked it, or it came in about last week. So we spent some time with it down at the club. Ran it, broke it in, let it run, let it pull, and one of the other members actually had a few down there too. So we got those on camera too, and it was a GP40-2 extravaganza. It was awesome. It was pretty cool. It's good stuff. That
is pretty cool. And I mean, anytime we've got a lot of fans, as you know,
Yes.
Southern Pacific fans on here.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm East Coaster, but I got to tell you, the Southern Pacific, I mean, the more you see that paint scheme, it's just, you kind of miss it. It's been gone a while, but man, it was such a cool paint scheme.
Very iconic. The red does it for me. That red, you just look at it and it just draws your attention to it. And it's very, what it reminds me of too is there was a movie back in the 90s, Under Siege 2. And and they did, the mock-up at the end of the train crash and everything. And it was a Southern Pacific tank train. I remember they I think it was live steamer scale they did it in. If I remember correctly, watching the.
I think so. Yeah, I remember reading something about that. You know what? The other thing that we do that's kind of fun, James, is we'll do a shout out, kind of like a contest thing. And I'm going to make it easy for the guys that are probably older than 40. There's another movie that I remember, and Janik and I have talked about it on the show. And I want to see who comes up with the name of the movie first. But it's an older movie. It has a Southern Pacific locomotive in it, and it has to do with a Dodge Dart and an old freight truck, fuel truck. I want to see if that's enough of a hint for the old guys to remember what. And sorry, I'm one of the old guys, so I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings out there. But I realize I know this movie, so yeah, I'm probably one of the old guys. Let me see if we've got anybody in there. Oh man, Neil and David, it's so close. They're missing one word.
Oh,
guys. One more word. Oh, man. How about you, James? Do you know which movie I'm talking about?
I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I know the scene and I remember where it was filmed. So I know that much.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm going to go ahead. The first one that I'm looking through the comments, and everybody seems to be making the same mistake, but I'm going to give it looks like Steven. I'm going to say Steven here. The Duel, Dennis Weaver. That is a cool movie. And I just remember that part where he's at the railway crossing and the truck comes up behind him and starts pushing him. And what did people like you and I remember? We remember the Southern Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good job. Yeah. The Duel, as Terry says, it is technically The Duel. That's a great early. Technically, it's a horror movie, which to me is more realistic in this day and age than some of those slasher picks of the 80s. But
yeah.
So I'm gonna show part of your video that you did, because I want guys to check this video out. Now, while I'm bringing this up, if you're a Facebook fan, check your feed, because about 6 o'clock Central Time tonight, we're gonna share his video, and then we'll share it again this Saturday. But let's see. Go ahead and play that so you can see. And here you are. You're kind of going through. You just taking it out of the box. You're showing us all the details on it. Really nice. There's that picture that we shared earlier, and yeah, really nice. And the other thing too, James, that was really well done is you were you were able to not only get pictures of the prototype, but you actually were able to get video of it as well.
Yes, I was able to source down and locate a video of one of these GP40-2s that's still in service. I actually think today at this, I don't know if it's still here in Southern California, but I believe it's still in service for the Union Pacific, and I was able to find it. Now, it doesn't look like it did. You could tell it's still Southern Pacific, but it doesn't look like it did when it was rostered by the SP. But yeah, so they're
very nice. And James, again, what's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's Hybrid Hobby. So it's hybrid and then hobby. And essentially, I mean, at this point, a hybrid is a mix of things. And obviously, this is a hobby, what we're doing. So it combines train simulator, model railroading, rail fanning, and anything train related in a hybrid package for you. That's where it's branded at this point, basically. So,
very cool. Yeah, nicely done. So guys, look for the link tonight in our Facebook feed, or go ahead and go to YouTube and look up Hybrid Hobby. And this video just went up, I think, yesterday. It's brand new, and it's a great review of the Genesis GP40-2. And obviously, James didn't have the issue that I have. Maybe I might still get lucky. I might be able to somehow figure out how to get one of those Boston and Maine GP40-2s. But great review. Thanks for doing it for us. And we've got some other reviews coming up shortly on this same locomotive. So if you're in the market for a nice 4-axle do-it-all workhorse, we've offered these in not only the Southern Pacific, but we've got them in Canadian roads, Eastern roads. So yeah, we tried to fill a little bit of everything. And I'm reading the comments here, and it's like, yeah, leave it to a Ford guy. It was a Dodge Coronet. I don't know why I thought Dart, but it has been a while since I saw that movie. Yeah, leave it to a Ford guy to figure out what kind of Dodge it was. But great. I mean, so, tell us a little bit about the club that you're running this locomotive on. You said you were a member of it. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes. So the California Southern Model Railroad Club is located in Norwalk, California. The club has been in existence for several decades. I joined myself as a junior member, and then I believe it was the year 2001. I was in middle school. And it was at that point a DC layout. It was completely DC with block control. And we would have to, alternate and share blocks by colors and go around and turn the knob. It was very different from DCC, how things are today. So like I said, I took a little break for a couple of years, and I came back about maybe 7 or 8 years ago in the club. And it was at that point converted to DCC. And it's basically just been growing since then. We had a lower level, and we basically built an upper level. So now there's an upper and a lower level. And it goes through basically several different forms of scenery. There's mountain, there's prairie, there's yard, there's city. It tends to replicate. I mean, the California Southern is a fictional railroad, and it replicates kind of something that would run along the Santa Fe's main line. I mean, there was a California Southern Railroad that did exist, and this is kind of a fictional what if, essentially. And
nice, very cool.
Yeah. So our line, our route is meant to replicate a run from basically Oakland down to Southern California up to Kansas City, basically.
Great. Yeah. Well, look at this. We got Robert. He says, I just subbed to his channel. Robert, I think you'll like his channel. He's got some great content.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw some other questions on here. Glenn's got a question. He's like, do you have the GP40-2 and NS? We do.
Nice.
3 different road numbers. So it is not the horsehead paint scheme, but it is the Norfolk Southern black scheme with the cat whiskers. And again, I mean, that's probably a regional rail fan term. Here's one for you, James. A couple of months ago, I mean, I've been in the Midwest for 22 years. I thoroughly being honest with you, the guys that I rail fan with, we always called the Santa Fe blue and yellow war bonnets, we called them Cub Scouts. You ever heard of that?
Never. And then I heard that on the show a few weeks back, and I heard that. I'm like, wow, that's something new.
That's something different. Yeah.
That's something different. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's apparently a regional thing because, same thing. When I go to New England, like Cub Scouts, what are you talking about? But then again, me and my buddies call Norfolk Southern's dark ponies. I mean, everybody has like nicknames for what they rail fans. So, definitely the Norfolk Southerns, they are in stock. If you've got a local hobby shop or a favorite retailer, by all means, go visit them. And of course, too, the other thing too, James, you've got some links on your YouTube video on that. So
Yes,
definitely check that out if you're in the market. I mean, the GP40-2 was, like you said in your video, I mean, it kind of replaced a lot of that first generation, GP7s, GP9s, just a nice, reliable locomotive.
absolutely. I mean, I want to say almost one of the most ixonic. I mean, you've seen it throughout the years by so many model manufacturers that it's instilled in our brain that you see a hood unit with four axle trucks and GP40-2. It's just kind of, but it really I mean, I'm a GM guy myself, so.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of the cool things I get, and one of the kicks I get out of the older EMD units is the actual font they use on the plating and everything. It's GM font, and I go out to my garage, I look at my Camaro, and it has the same font.
Yeah,
and it's really cool. It's really cool to have that connection. I mean, I love all cars. I'm not really a brand specific, but I've been I more GM than Ford and stuff. I've had Mustangs, so but.
No, it's like you said. I mean, you look at the builder's plate too. It's that GM blue, that corporate blue color, and it's definitely cool. And it's so neat. And it's funny you say Corvettes earlier. I've always been a fan of the GP30, and
yes,
who'd have thunk that they took the GM guys from the Corvette division and styling and said, "Hey, come over to EMD and make this look cool." And I just think the GP30 was one of the coolest looking locomotives, the way they stylized that. And that all had to do with the designers over there with the, with the Corvette.
Exactly. Absolutely. I was funny. I was thinking about this morning. I was looking at one of my GP30s downstairs. I'm just like, man, I love the unique look of this thing.
They are definitely cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know what we like to do about this time of the show is we like to do some virtual rail fanning. Now, with everything going on, I know where you're at. I mean, COVID's been pretty running rampant. I mean, so a lot of us have been, doing some virtual rail fanning, and that's also a good time for our fans out here to ask questions. You want to stick around a little bit and see if some guys have some questions for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Sounds fun.
Let's do that. Let me bring up a camera. You know what? I didn't want you to feel too homesick, so we're going to go to, and I just want to warm up. I'm going to go ahead and go to Barstow, California.
Okay, there we go.
See what's going on there?
Growing up, actually, one of the things that really got me into this was we had a webcam at the Fullerton station on TrainWeb, the TrainWeb website.
Oh, nice.
And I think it went down probably in the mid 2000s, the first decade of the 2000s here. And but it was cool because you got to see all the local stuff, and that's one of the things I'm hoping for with Virtual Railfan is they get a Fullerton cam up soon, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
that would be cool. So let's see. I'm kind of looking in the comment section. So if you guys have any questions on what we've talked about today, any questions on the GP40-2, the Genesis that they're now in stock, or if you just got a question for James that's railroad related, shoot it out here. I'll put it up on there. I'll try to catch you guys, and one of us or both of us will answer it. So, I got one. This one's directed towards me from Michael. He's like, so what do you have new for the Canadian guys? Well, right now, we've got the SD60Ms and the Triclops, and that's with the Beaver Herald and the CP rail. Personally, I know I say that about every paint scheme because I'm kind of crazy about all different types of paint schemes, but that paint scheme kind of has a special place in my heart. That's going to be out mid-March. We've got roundhouse center flows that are in CP rail. Those will be out probably about the same time. So we've got that. And then you'll want to stop by on Friday because Friday is the big day. James, you probably know this. On Friday at 3:30, we announce everything that we're going to be talking about in March. And
yes.
I know what's in there. I can't tell anybody because it's a secret, but you'll see it on Friday. And I think a lot of you guys are going to be happy with that.
It'll be a good day.
It will be a good day. Yeah, it's a good day for everybody, but maybe my wife when she realizes where my paycheck went.
Right there with you.
Yeah. Oh, Daniel, I see your questions, and I'm trying to select because you've really got some good let's see. Which one do I want to choose? I'm going to choose this one. It's more of a suggestion than a question, but Midland Valley and KO and G GP7. Yeah, GP7 in the Genesis series. Yeah, I've had other people ask for that. So, check it out. We got some TOFCs going through.
Yes.
And one more. I see somebody was asking too for James's channel, his YouTube channel. It is Hybrid Hobbies. So just go to YouTube and look up Hybrid Hobbies. And great stuff. And the other thing too is I know you've been helping me with some other stuff behind the scenes.
Yes.
Next week we'll talk about more about it, but I can't wait to share that with everybody. So you'll definitely be seeing James again. And we've got a really good group of guys that are doing reviews for us. We've got you. We've got DG Model Works. He's done some great reviews on our SD80. He also did a really good, really helpful video on the lighting.
Yes.
A lot of guys. I mean, James, you probably not like this, but a lot of guys will buy one of these Genesis locomotives and they come with a Tsunami 2 and they don't realize how much you can fine tune it. And the nice thing with Derek over at DG Hobbies is he took the SD80 that he did a review on and he shows everybody step by step how to change the light intensity on the different functions. And since it's Genesis 2.0, it's got the the number boards, the ground lights, all of that, and he shows you how to adjust that individually, which is huge. And then not long after that, George over at Soundtracks, he did a video for us too on the SD80. So definitely that is something that we're really happy to have, and we've got some other guys that we'll be talking about in the future. But James, we're glad to have you on board and helping us out with all this great Athearn stuff.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here and happy to grow this hobby, and hopefully we can preserve it for many generations to come at this point.
Definitely. Yeah, so. I'm starting to see what kind of other questions we've got going through our comment section. And let's see. I see lots of comments. Now, don't forget, guys, we've got that email address. So if there's something you just got to see, maybe the next run of SD60Ms, you got to see that road, go to our website, got to contact us, and then select the product suggestions email. Now, like I said before, we don't answer those. That's just a collection point. It's where all the good ideas go in. We calculate them. We look them all over. And when it comes time for us to run a new locomotive, we look at everything that's come in. And if we see more guys saying, hey, man, I'm going to see one of these in the yellow sill, not the red sill. If we get enough requests for that, then we'll end up doing it. But the only way we know what you guys want is to go to that email address and throw that in there. Oh, it looks like, here we go. I'll throw Fred's comment up there. He says, James, I'll be sure to subscribe and binge watch. That's good. You got some great run-through videos too, don't you?
Yeah. I've done a lot of work here. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on this subdivision as well. Here we're looking at right now around home. So I do, like I said, it's a hybrid of all sorts of things. I do rail fanning, and I try to take my aesthetics that I use when I rail fan to the actual hobby videos as well. So I almost put myself in the perspective that I'm trackside, basically on the railroad, and that's basically filming real trains, filming hobby trains. It's model trains. It's the same.
Yeah.
So I try to keep that kind of theme going, basically.
Nice. Yeah. No, I know you've done a lot with the club that you showed the GP40 -2 in, and a lot of neat little projects you got on your website or your YouTube channel. So yeah, definitely go check that out. And yeah, we've definitely not seen the last of James. Let's see. We got some requests for Mopac. What do you think of Mopac, James? You like Mopac?
Mopac's good stuff. Good stuff.
It is good stuff. I know George Bogatak over at Soundtracks. That's his road. And
nice.
He's got some great videos up too. If you go to his channel, the thing that's really good, if you're into prototype operations, he really shows you how to use these Tsunami 2s, kind of fine tuning them for switching operations and stuff. And Yeah, talk about binge watching. You can get in trouble real quick.
Yeah, that's what happens with YouTube. I mean, with virtual railfan lately, I've been binge watching the grab bags, and I look at my clock. All of a sudden, 3 hours have gone by. I've watched a couple grab bag videos. Like, what? Where's the time going? Yeah, it's YouTube's very addicting these days as well with the train related content.
Oh yeah. Here's one for you, James. This is coming in from Sean. He says, "Hey James, do you ever go to the old spaghetti factory at Fullerton to get dinner and railfan at the same time? Don't tell the wife. That's why I like going there when we're at Disneyland."
Absolutely, I do. I usually actually have my birthday there every year. Nice. And I was let down this year because my birthday's in December, and down here in Southern California, we went into another lockdown, I think around November, the holiday times. And so all the inside dining and everything was I believe, in restaurant, outdoor dining was completely shut down. And so I didn't get to go there for my birthday this year. And, but yes, I do patron the Old Spaghetti Factory quite a lot since I was a young kid. I've grown up down the street, and good stuff. We always get a table by the tracks. Nice. And yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Good times. That's awesome. Oh, let's see. Any other questions that we can throw up there? Zach's got a question/comment, and it's about the GP40-2s. He's saying, how about the Paducah and Louisville's and GP40-2s? Yeah, it's one of those things where, for us anyways, in central Illinois, it wouldn't be too far of a trek for us. Go ahead and put that in the comment suggestion, product suggestion email. Shoot that in there. You're not the only one that's asked for that. So if we get enough traction behind it, you might see that in the next release.
Yeah, that's the power in numbers, guys.
It is. It really is. Definitely helps. Let's see. I'll go through here and see what else we've got going on. While I'm looking for some questions, tell us what are you working on in the model railroad world personally? Do you have a layout that you're working on, or any new projects?
Yes, well, a lot of things going on. I basically work from home now, and it's been like that since March of last year. And so, I spend a lot of time in the house and trying to figure things out, what to do, basically. I'll go down to the club every now and then, not as much as I used to, but, when kind of during the middle of the week when no one's really there and stuff like that, I'll go. And but at home, what I've been working on is I got a 4x8, just a test layout with just easy track that I use to test things, make sure they run. I'm working on an in-scale, kind of a test layout as well. I did pick up some in-scale track, and I want to get it. I mean, I've been into in-scale, but I want to actually start getting some Athearn stuff and checking out the products. So I did get some in-scale track, and I got a little 3x3 table I'm going to start messing around with and stuff. Cool. So, nice. But my main basically projects all kind of revolve around Amtrak. That's the main road that I model. I mean, I basically model Amtrak, BNSF, Santa Fe, and then Union Pacific, Southern Pacific. Okay. And, so I've been working on Amtrak stuff lately, and I just picked up a couple of the fantasy Amtrak Gevos. So yeah, those are really cool. Nice. I was gonna bring it out, but it would just be too many trains, and I didn't want to mess it up. And so
you can never have too many trains.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean on my desk right here. I don't want to have like trains.
Yeah.
But
nice.
But so I'm working on kind of using that as a heritage unit, like if kind of like Amtrak. I mean, the Gevos kind of came out in 03, 04 era.
Okay.
So I'm using that kind of to replicate a Southwest Chief of that time, and cool. So just a lot of different projects here and there, and a lot of weathering. Just projects go on. I mean, I have projects going to last me the next 10 years, basically.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's usually the way. I mean, that's usually the way. I got to do a shout out for somebody here. He's coming all the way from down under. Rod. He's saying good morning from Perth, Western Australia. And I like the logo, DNH down there in the land down under. Hey, Rod, thanks for joining us all the way from there, and it's morning down there. That's yeah. Now where you're at, it's about what, mid-afternoon?
Where I'm at myself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about 2:30, a little about 2:40ish here, so mid-afternoon. Okay. Yeah. About that time where I got to get another cup of coffee here. Always comes around 3:00. I feel it. I'm like, oh, it's coffee time.
It's time. Yeah, it's time for that shot of some coffee. I totally understand. Yeah, let's see. Well, we've got time for maybe one or two more questions. So while we got James here, if you've got a question you want to ask him, especially about that GP40-2. I know you've got some runtime on that.
Yeah,
And
yeah. This
definitely,
awesome.
if anybody's got any questions on that, check that out. Let's see.
One of the coolest parts of this thing, I have to say, is the engineer's stand with the controls and everything, and just how.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you can really see it in this, but just how detailed it is, and that's why I wanted to take one of those close-ups. I was blown away with just that was awesome.
Let's see. Where did Kevin go? I got a question here for you, James. This is coming in from Kevin. He says, what weathering mediums do you use?
Well, that's a good question, Kevin. For the most part, I mean, I kind of take it kind of easy. I don't have a full airbrush setup yet. I was doing some painting here and there outside, but I don't really have an airbrush setup. So what I've been doing is a basic process. I actually have a video on my YouTube about it. And this is how you can kind of do some weathering. I don't want to call it budget weathering, but this is how you can do it without an airbrush. I basically will dull coat the car and spray a dull coat over it. And then you got to get, the next step involves chalk. And the main thing I stress is you got to get a chalk that sticks. So you don't want to use like a Crayola chalk or a kid's chalk or something. You want to use a model chalk, artist chalk, something like that. And I'll get an X-Acto knife and cut it real thin, or real, shave it off into powder, kind of wet that a little bit and put some chalk on it. And then my favorite part is I'll do what's called a wash, where I'll get a cup. And I learned this from researching forums online and stuff, and just kind of figuring out a kind of a budget way to do things. And it involves getting some acrylic paint, usually black and brown, and I'll mix them up in a cup with water and mix it really well. And mostly the mix is about maybe 10-15% paint and 85%, 80%, or 90-95% water. And yeah, it comes out really good. You just get it and basically brush it down and kind of make it look like rust and things like that. And then I'll get another can of, and then I'll spray it down with dull coat again and throw it on the layout.
Nice.
So that's what I've been doing. I mean, I do want to evolve with it and get an airbrush set up. Get it. The main thing with me with airbrush is ventilation. So I gotta invest in ventilation first. So.
Yeah, no, that's definitely important, and more so with acrylics, believe it or not, than solvent based, because unfortunately, that spray, that dust, it doesn't break down if it goes inside the human body. So yeah, that's definitely a very important thing.
What's nice about I was going to say what's nice about I mean, not nice, but with everything going on right now, I have an abundance of these N95 masks. So definitely make sure you mask up when you're doing any painting, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Now Frederick, he's pinged me up here a couple of times, so I'm gonna put some love up there for him. Frederick, he loves the GP40-2s. He's talking baby wings and UP.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Definitely get that suggestion and go to our email. Put that in there, because if it was just me, I'd say, yeah, let's do it. And then the development guys would probably hate to see me coming, because I'm like, what are we doing now? I need to have you guys actually email and tell them Jim's not crazy. Jim said baby wings and UP. So definitely use that email. Saw another great comment and or question here. Oh, here it is. This is coming from Cody. Cody says, how are those CP-SD70 ACUs coming along? Well, believe it or not, they're going to be here in November, which we got a little bit. If you did a pre-order, definitely you should be good. If you did not do a pre-order, you might want to talk to your dealer about setting one aside, because they are going to be extremely popular, especially those CP ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, James, you probably saw when we unveiled those back in November, I think it was.
Yes, it's good stuff.
It's a lot of neat stuff. I mean,
yeah, the new releases just have been blowing me away with this Genesis 2.0, and just looking at the details and the PDFs, and I love the PDFs. It's one of my favorite parts is studying these PDFs. They're really cool. I really like to get a couple of them and pass the time on my phone and stuff. So good stuff.
Yeah, the Genesis 2.0, it blows me away the first time I got to kind of play with the 2.0. And I mean, first of all, the thing that blew me away was the sound. The sound is just amazing. And there's some engineering involved. They're using dual sugar cube speakers, and just the way they're baffled, just the way they're setting and stuff. I've said it before, I've got a small Fremo-esque style module in my office. And if I have it sitting there, it's like I'm in Galesburg or downtown Champaign in the yard. I mean, it just sounds amazing. But then, you see things like the C3 steps. It wasn't that long ago. Remember, we just had like a shelf of plastic there. Now it's see-through. I mean, there's pictures that can really fool somebody. But the other cool thing too, and from an operator's standpoint, is not only can you turn on and off the headlight and the ditch lights, you can dim the headlight. So if you take the siding to let a passing train go by, you can shut off the ditch lights. You can dim the headlight, but you can also turn on and turn off the number boards. Just things like that. I mean, just little things that we listen to guys that were into prototype operations say, hey, it'd be really handy if you could make all these functions separate instead of just turning all on at the same time. And then further going through and adjusting those to your preferences, that's even better. So yeah, the Genesis 2.0 stuff's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. We got the reflection looked like we had an older war bonnet in there.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say with Genesis 2.0, I mean, it's gotten to the point where I feel like these are actual real miniature locomotives. I feel one thing I always kind of envied about live steam and the larger, live scale stuff like that was the fact that you actually get to feel like you're buying an actual running real locomotive. And that's what I feel like I'm getting with Genesis 2.0 these days. And it's really bringing that to me. And just the features, you get it on there, and it's not like you're just running a train anymore. It's like you're actually operating a life-size locomotive. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, we're definitely seeing a lot more guys doing the operations. And so, that's just some stuff that comes in real handy. I'm kind of looking through it. Like I said, we got time for maybe one, maybe two more items. Rod, I see your question on the D&H. I don't know of anything off the top of my head, but we're always trying to do so many different roads, and we try not to, with every release, we try not to say, Midwest focused or West Coast focused. We're trying to get a nice range of stuff. So, Rod, tune in on Friday. I can't promise you we're going to have exactly what you're looking for, but I can tell you that you're going to see some stuff that ran throughout the United States and Canada. It's going to surely please most people. And then let's see, one more. What else do we have? It's almost like Christmas morning when you want to say, which one do we start with first?
That's how I feel when I'm on Atherin's website.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I can justify that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still trying to think, I can justify a SP or a Western Pacific GP40-2.
That's half the battle, though. The second half is getting it delivered without our wives seeing it.
Yeah, exactly.
She's going to wonder, why haven't you got me a new car yet? What are these boxes that keep coming?
Right. Why are we living on cold cereal?
Honey, we're not driving. It's a stay-at-home order. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, car? What car? I sold that for.
Yeah. I put it in Bitcoin.
There you go. All right. Well. And I got. I saw your question about the beat cars, and I will answer this just because you asked and you didn't see that earlier. So to answer your question on those beat gons, what we had done is when we announced those last year, we had a set price on those, and we were going to try to do some new details on those, which you're aware of that. But just some unforeseen costs with our factory, with production, things of that nature. We just couldn't stomach the cost, and we couldn't pass the cost on to you either. It's one of those things. If we advertise a freight car and it's say $34.95 retail, and it's in actuality going to be $54.99 retail, we don't think that's fair to you, and it doesn't make us look good. So here's what we've done for this. We just didn't feel like putting that extra burden on you. They're not dead. Just keep that in mind. They're not dead. We're hoping to do some work on those because we know a lot of guys were looking forward to those beat cars. We didn't just cancel them and say, no, we're never doing them. We're looking into some avenues. But for right now, we just didn't want to go ahead and send them out to you and say, hey, by the way, the price went up this much. Nobody likes that. So keep posted, and we will keep you posted here too if any developments on that come across. But well, cool. I mean, James, you survived your first Train Tuesday. How do you feel?
I'm alive.
That's good. Sometimes I put Tony Cook to sleep. No, I shouldn't say that. Tony's a great guy. He's got a great background and a lot of history. So the guys love it when he comes on board.
I love when you two are together. It's good stuff.
Oh, George, I see your question. This is a great question for James, and he probably would know. James, here's a question from George. The SPGP 40-2, what's with the white air conditioner? Do you happen to know anything about that?
It's a good question. George, I will be completely honest with you. I am not 100% sure, but what I would or probably guess would be that they added it from a different unit, and this unit was basically, no AC from the factory. So I'd assume when Southern Pacific maybe repainted it, they added AC for the crew's comforts, but I don't know the exact answer why it's gray or light gray instead of the dark SP gray. That's a good question. But we will try to probably research that and figure it out. But that's a good question. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you on that. It's probably one of those things where it's like, hey, we need an air conditioner, and that locomotive over there has one that's not running. Take it. Because we know that happens in the real world.
Exactly.
Both of us are BNSF fans. How many times have we seen red and silver on orange and black locomotives?
I was just going to say that. Exactly. That's one of the coolest things to model these days too, is putting those different AC units on the dash nines and the wide cabs and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So hey, you know what? We'll close the program here, guys. Everybody that showed up, you've been great. Thanks for coming on board. Now, don't forget this Friday, 3:30 Central Standard Time, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, we're going to come out with a new announcements. There's two things you need to do on Friday. Before Friday, anything that we've talked about in the last month from February, put your pre-orders in. Do you see any Boston to Maine GP 40-2s here? I don't. So what am I going to do next time? I'm going to pre-order. Second of all, you're going to see some great stuff that we're going to be talking about on Friday that you're definitely going to want to stick around for. So I will see most of you guys again here on Friday at 3:30. It's a great way to start the weekend too, right? It's like sneak out of your cubicle, look at your phone, see what Jim's talking about. Yeah, it's a great way to get some ideas on your way to the hobby shop too. All right, James, thanks again for coming on board. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for showing us that GP 40-2 and bailing me out like that.
Anytime, Jim, anytime. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait to come back. Thanks.
All right, guys, everybody out there in YouTube and Facebook world, I want you guys to continue to have a great day. Get some modeling done. Be kind to others. Be safe. Be healthy. Until I see you guys on Friday. High greens, everybody. Take care.